Thank you. Thank you, Nella. Thank you, Zoe. So great to see, like I said, so many boxes that pop up when they get smaller. Yes, you're harder to see, but that means there's more of you. And I appreciate and enjoy being able to make those connections and make this impact. Um, First off, right off the bat, I apologize. I have a bit of a cold. And so if I go on mute to clear my throat, it's to save you from having to hear that. So that along with grabbing some water just to stay a little bit fresher. Um, but I am excited to be here. I have spent 15 years in college athletics, so both as an assistant coach and as a head coach. And then the last 5 years, I have been a performance coach and an industry expert, both in college athletics and then doing some performance coaching and speaking outside of college athletics. So I really find that this small business owners, leaders, executives, CEOs, presidents, folks that are in control and charge of your operations, I find a great synergy and really enjoy being with you all. I've also found a lot of similarities between managing a sports program, being the head coach of a sports program, and running a business. I think the most obvious similarity is that one at the end, that both sports teams and businesses are really measured on their end result, on their ability to win. Now, winning looks different in different industries, but at the end of the day, that is the goal. So if we reverse engineer this a bit, one of the largest indicators of winning is a team or a company's culture. And in order to exemplify and foster that culture, you, the head coach, the CEO, the president, the leader, you must express that vision. And in order for you to express that vision to others, you must have great personal leadership, because you can only lead others to the level of your own discipline. So you must lead yourself first, and you must seek peak performance personally every single day. You don't have to be perfect, but seek that high performance so that you can lead and demonstrate and exemplify that for others. When this happens, when you are sorted, when you are confident, again, not perfect, but when you are sorted and confident, you are primed to attack every single day. You are primed to win your day. You all know things come in the door every single day. And if you're not ready with the mindset, those things can be completely derailing. So today, I want this to be a one-on-one conversation. We're going to work through some things together. And if you're compared to share, if you're compelled to share, great, do so. If you're not ready to share, I'm still talking to you. I'm still coaching you. I'm still right here. We're still having this one-on-one conversation. And the more boxes here, I find myself looking all over the screen. I'm talking to each and every one of you. Today, we're going to build three things. We're going to build your morning musts. This is a morning routine that's going to highlight intentional focus and mental toughness each and every day. We're going to build your MVP team. We are meant to live on teams. We are meant to operate in teams. Those teams can be people that we are physically related to, and those teams can be people we choose or we are chosen to be with. But we thrive on teams. So we're going to make sure that you have your MVP team. And then lastly, we're going to identify ways that you can build a winning culture within your company, your business, the unit you lead under a larger umbrella. We're going to get those three things hammered out for you. So in order to do that, I'm going to do some talking. You're going to do some reflecting. You're going to write some things down. Again, if you're compelled to share, great. If not, you're still working. So there will be some quiet time, not a lot, but there will be some quiet time for you to collect some of your thoughts. But first, I want to share a story here with you, and this is my story. When you get into college athletics, you know you're going to get out in one of three ways. You're going to quit, you're going to become a national champion, or you're going to get fired. It's brutal. It sounds harsh, but that's what we all signed up for. Exactly one out of 362 women's basketball head coaches get to cut down the net on the final day of the Division I season. Every year, only one coach gets to call themselves a national champion. I have no rings. That was not me. I'm also not a quitter. Simply by nature, the industry, there's just not a lot of quitters in collegiate or professional sports. It's quite the opposite with ultra competitive people who are obsessively trying to find that extra detail, that edge to win. So yes, I was fired. On March 11th, 2019, my boss at NDSU, North Dakota State University, told me the program was moving in another direction. I'd been with the program for 5 years. We had real success. We'd won great games. We graduated every student athlete who played for us. We were extremely involved in the community. But at the end of the day, we did not win enough games to keep my job. Very cut and dry. Again, you go into the business at age 25 knowing you're going to get out one of three ways. March 11th, 2019 turned out to be my thank you day. It was a mental shift and a mindset change that I chose. And I say my thank you day because I successfully pivoted and became a certified performance coach and public speaker. So for the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of coaching leaders inside athletics and in business, just like you all. My company, Elevating Leaders, is where it is today because I took the lessons that I learned over the course of my 30 years of being a college and professional athlete and a coach and turned them on myself. Maybe that's happened to you. You're going down this path. You're over here. Things are running smoothly. You think you know the next steps. You think you can see how things are going to roll out. And then something happens. You get laid off. You get fired. You go through a divorce. You get a grim medical diagnosis. And all of a sudden you're over here, right? Like you're here, you're good. You know what's happening. Things are running smoothly. Maybe not easy, but smoothly. And now you're over here wondering, where do I go? What do I do? That's what happened to me. And over here is when I used those 30 years of lessons to get me on my feet and to continue to make impact. Maybe you haven't found yourself in that spot, and that's okay too. But how you lead yourself, that's where we're going to start today. So I want to share the most impactful tool that I have personally used and that I use with performance coaching clients every single day. And that's the handout that Zoe put in the chat. We'll get it to you afterwards if you haven't been able to print it out yet. But a sheet of paper right now will do just fine. And that tool that I use every day, I did it this morning. It's your morning musts. So if you already have a morning routine, great. I commend you. You're halfway there. Maybe today's an opportunity to examine what you do, how it serves you, and maybe there's an area you can make a tweak, add a piece. If you're resistant to morning routines, I'm going to coach you up. I'm going to call your bluff. I'm going to offer some help here, offer some guidance. You're like, morning routine? Yeah, I mean, I had my coffee. I'm good. I got you. I got you. We're going to get you primed and ready for the day. There's about 6 things on that morning must paper. 5 of them can be done in 10 minutes. We're talking mindset, intentional focus. What drives your peak performance and your impact? So your morning must is like a game plan, right? Athletes do not go into a game without going through the game plan, without warming up, without priming themselves for the game. So coming from college athletics, I think it's often hilarious how outside of sport, we're like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to get through that stoplight and I'm going to park my car. I'm going to sprint in 2.5 minutes before that first meeting. Athletes don't operate that way. Why do the rest of us? So this is a morning routine. This is about focusing on your habits, driving daily discipline, and having peak performance. When you think about your personal why and your purpose, is that clear to you? And again, this is a one-on-one conversation. Let's answer these in our own heads or jot things down. We've all been in business. We've all been alive long enough to know our why and our purpose. But I'm a firm believer that is not enough. There's an emotion underneath that why and that purpose. There's a burn, and that's what we call it. And that's number 1. That's the first part of our morning musts, is identifying your burn. Your burn is that emotional thing that lights you up, that gets you moving, that sets your action steps in motion. So maybe you had somebody who doubted you as a kid, didn't think you could do whatever you're doing. You'll never be an attorney. You're not smart enough. You could never run a company. You can't even get yourself to school on time. You'll never do that. Maybe somebody showed doubt in you, and that has given you the, oh, I'm going to show you approach and attitude. Or maybe on the other side, your burn, your energy comes from someone who has great sacrifice made for you. And so you are indebted to them and forever grateful for the sacrifice that they've made. We all have a burn. Mine, it's my parents. They're getting older. They still live in Minnesota, which is 1,000 miles away. And for me to see them, I have to travel. They can travel to me, but I choose to travel to them. Getting up every day, doing my work, pouring into my folks is so that I can see my parents. They were at every single one of my basketball games, all across the country and overseas. The least I can do is show up to spend time with them now. That's my burn. One of my performance coaching peers, Ben Newman, his burn comes from the fact that his mother passed away at a very young age. He was 8 years old. So he knows he's living years that his mother never had. That's his burn. So let's take a minute. What is that emotion that is underneath your why and your purpose? What fuels you to take action every day? Could be a phrase, could be a sentence, could be a person. I think it's also important to note here, this is like day 1 of practice. We can't have a game and expect to win with 1 day of practice. So your burn, your I am statements, the things that we go through today, you're going to try them out every day for a week, and they're going to get a little bit smoother. So don't get hung up on if you don't have quite the right words or it's not coming off your tongue as smoothly as you'd like. Athletes practice, teams practice, you're going to practice as well. The first component of our morning musts is connecting to that burn, is writing that burn out, is reading that burn statement word for word. The next component of our morning musts come in the form of I am statements. I'm curious, whose voice do you hear the most every day? Whose voice? Nella, it is not Bjorn's voice. Zoe, you mentioned an infant getting off to school. It's not that voice or that scream or that cry.
I hear my own voice.
You hear your own voice. Absolutely. Thank you. Your own voice is the voice you hear the most each and every day. It's the first voice. It's the loudest voice. It's the most persistent voice. My question to you is it the most supportive voice? Controlling our words and our thoughts has direct impact on our actions, our habits, our trajectory. So why not choose those thoughts every single morning? With intentional thoughts, with I am statements, you are priming yourself to withstand the attacks that happen. The children, the road rage, the questions that come from coworkers, the decisions that have to be made and presented to boards. I am statements answer the following question: who are you? So the key is to think bigger than this moment. I am statements are answered in the future. One of the most famous I am statements, and you maybe don't even know, connect the statement with the term I am statement, is Muhammad Ali when he said, I am the heavyweight champion of the world. When he said that, he was not. That was his I am statement. That's how he saw himself. Maybe you see yourself as the CEO of a $5 million firm. I'm working with a woman right now. One of her I am statements is I am a marathon runner. Let's be clear. The most she's ran is 12 miles right now. But that's how she sees herself in the future. These I am statements should be uncomfortable to say out loud, and some people in your household might laugh at you. But they're also forward thinking. And if they're strong enough, they force you to sit up a little bit straighter. It forces you to be a little bit more focused in your points of contact, in your business development planning session. This current person talking about that future person, that's a big component of taking action today. So here's homework piece number 2. Can you write at least 3 I am statements? Not what you hope to be, but what you're going to be. So when you read them, I am the CEO of a $5 million firm. When you say that at 6:15 in the morning, you're like, okay, yep, I got to go. I got to show up today because that's how I'm operating. One of my I am statements is I'm a television network broadcaster. One of my side gigs here is that I do call basketball games on the radio and on streaming services, not on network linear TV. That's an I am statement. So when I prepare for games, I have a game this weekend, Princeton at Columbia. When I prepare for that game, I'm thinking I'm a network broadcaster. I am operating, I am preparing as though I am. Because one day I will be. Three I am statements. The next component is a legacy statement. And I love the word legacy. It wasn't until recently, the last 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, that I really embraced living your legacy. Oftentimes we hear of a legacy when somebody retires. Oh, what was the legacy of so-and-so with the company? We're hearing that on the way out. We often hear about legacies when people pass. Oh, the legacy that she or he is leaving for their grandchildren. Why do we have to wait till it's over? Wouldn't it make more sense to live your legacy right now? Think for a minute. What do people say they really like about you? What do they say is your reputation before you enter the conversation or enter the room? How are folks describing or introducing you to others? That's where your legacy begins. That's where the forming of your legacy statement, begins. To give you an example, my legacy statement is I show up with energy and margin every day as an example to others. It might not always be easy, but it is a choice. I know I have good energy and I know people like it. I know that's part of the legacy that I am living. And I can honestly say when I leave a company, when I leave a position, man, Maren had a lot of energy. She always brought it every day. Good. I'm living my legacy. I'll give you a minute here to brainstorm. What is your living legacy? What are people saying about you? So we've stacked our burn, the emotion that gets us up every day, the emotion that pushes us through. We've identified 3 I am statements. Reciting those I am statements every single morning puts you in a forward-thinking, action-taking mindset. Reciting your legacy statement keeps you grounded with who you are right now while living what everybody's going to remember you by. Those 3 pieces are positively fueling your mindset to take on whatever comes your way so that you win your day. Shoot, you can win your morning. This is going to take less than 10 minutes. There's 3 more pieces here on your morning must list. And the next is your connection to yourself. As leaders, as CEOs, presidents, board members, parents, you're leaders. You give a lot. You give of your time, your energy, your ideas, your emotional support. It's vital for you to have your own back. It's vital for you to connect with yourself. Similar to recharging, refreshing. But let's not wait till the tank is empty. Let's do it every single morning. How can you connect with yourself before the day gets going? May I offer, it might be in prayer. It might be in a gratitude journal. It might be in meditation. What is a simple activity? Because what I listed were activities. What is a simple activity that you can exercise for 2 or 3 minutes every single morning. That's all about you. Well before you give. Connect with yourself. I like to journal. I like to write my burn down, and I like to journal my intentions for the day. And then read a little devotional. All of that takes probably 5 minutes. And then the next step is your service to others. And this is not in leading. John Wooden, it's the national championship, one of the, if not the winningest men's basketball coaches. He led UCLA to 10 NCAA championships, absolutely unheard of in the 60s and 70s. He has many quotes, but one of his most famous quotes, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, is, "You haven't lived a good day until you have done something for others with no expectation in return." And now that's different than being the CEO, the leader, the head coach, the parent. There's all expectations in that leadership role. And so we're talking about doing something for others with zero expectation in return. Yes, it's holding the door open every single morning for the person that walks in the building behind you. But do you do that every morning? Or maybe it's sending a text message to your kids or a text message to your team. Maybe it's intentionally making phone calls to family and friends that live outside the state, or a text message with zero expectation. You're not asking, you're just saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. Have a great day." So you've connected to yourself, you've given to others. Those things on your morning musts, those can be wrapped up in 10 minutes or less. The last piece there, coming from the sports world, I'm big, and I truly believe in physically moving your body. That could be a walk, that could be a yoga session, that could be a trip to the gym. But if we're talking about energy, we got to move. We got to get that energy going. The endorphins have got to be released. And how do we do that? By doing something hard. You have to run a marathon. I'm not saying that. But physically pushing yourself, getting out when it's cold, putting a rucksack on and going for a 30-minute ruck or a 30-minute walk. Getting yourself to the gym, physically sweating, pushing some weights. Pilates, bar, that stuff's not easy either, ladies. I know. It could be that. But physically challenging yourself. That is your morning must. That is your game plan. That's what you execute each and every morning. And the rest of your day comes real smooth. I use that morning must. I'm looking at it right now. Mine's underneath a nice piece of plastic here on my desk. I read it every single day. Maybe twice a day. When you are in control, when you are primed for the rest of the day, you can attack and you can lead. We're going to transition here to your MVP team. You've taken care of yourself. You've sorted yourself. You can't do it by yourself. As I said, I'm a firm believer that we are meant to live and grow and operate in teams. And with sports teams, it's very easy, right? You see team members working together. I'm assuming most of you here are around the Philadelphia area and are very aware of the Philadelphia Eagles and their Super Bowl win. let's not be mistaken. Saquon Barkley is not running for 2,000 yards if he does not have a phenomenal offensive line. That's teamwork. I come from the women's basketball world. If you're at all into college basketball, women's basketball, Caitlin Clark, all-time leading scorer in the NCAA. Phenomenal. She played at the University of Iowa. Caitlin Clark is not becoming the all-time leading scorer if Hannah Stuelke's not running the floor and keeping the defense honest and forcing people to play her in the paint. It doesn't happen. But there's more. There's more than just team sports out there. Gabby Thomas, she's a 3-time gold medalist and U.S. sprinter. She won 3 gold medals in Paris this year. I recently heard her on a podcast and she was asked, when you're realizing you're going to win yet another gold medal, what are you thinking? And without skipping a beat, she said, about my team. I'm like, wait, but you're a sprinter. Your team? Immediately she rattled off the name of her physio, of her nutrition coach, of her massage therapist, of her track, of her actual skills coach. She said, I'm thinking of all these people that pour into me for our overall success. She's the only one that got the gold medal, but she came from a team that cared about her and her success. And that's where we as individuals are taking notes. So maybe on the back side of that sheet of paper, who's on your team? Who's on your team? I mean, your spouse or your partner can be on your team, but we're going to expand the roles of our team. Who do you go to for spiritual leadership? Who's on your team in that role? Who's on your team from the medical professional space, both the physical, the emotional, the mental? I mean, yeah, we all go to the doctor, we check the box. But do you have somebody on your team who cares about you and your physical goals? Do you consider your financial advisor one of your team members? They are. A basketball team needs somebody to bring the ball over half court, right? Needs a ball handler. I could do it. I'm 6'2". I mean, I could do it. But I would much rather pass it off to Helen Darling at 5'7". That's her skill set. That's her wheelhouse. She played in the WNBA. She's a much better ball handler than I am. So I could manage my own finances. However, it's in my financial best interest to pass that to somebody else. Who's your physical coach? Where are you going in terms of nutritional conversation and guidance? At the gym, are you winging it? Who's your physical coach? Who's your performance coach? Your career coach, your therapist? Who's holding you accountable and helping you stay on the trajectory that you desire personally and professionally? There's no magic number of who's on your team, but surrounding yourself with high-level elite performers spiritually, financially, around your career, around your physical well-being. You're meant to be on a team. Lean in to those team members. Yes, your children can be on your team, your partner can be on your team, and they hold different roles, and you need those roles. But you're selling yourself short if you're not looking for team members that build you up in areas that you desire. So once we've got ourselves sorted, and that starts every single day with our morning musts, we're primed to take on the day. We've executed our action plan. We've executed our game plan. We feel solid about the team around you, around me as an individual, my MVP team. Now, I'm going to be the best leader for my company, for my team, for my business, for the unit that I manage and lead under a larger umbrella. Can you lead without having your self sorted? Sure. Is it harder? Yes. Because you can only lead others to the level of your own discipline. So holding yourself to a very high standard, not perfect, but striving for that high standard makes you an attractive boss, president, CEO to follow. So we're going to shift here to that culture, that winning culture that all teams and high-performing companies and businesses also have. And here's another quick story for you. In the spring of 2014, I walked in the front door of the Bison Sports Arena. I was the head coach of the North Dakota State women's basketball team. And I had never led a team like that before. Yes, I was a starter on our Penn State team that played in the Final Four. I had been on staff and we'd won 3 Big Ten championships, but those were different. I was in charge and I knew we had a lot of work to do. I had 15 women looking to me for all the answers. I was a complete stranger to them. So some were skeptical, some were excited. And in terms of taking over a program, starting a business, starting a company, I knew it was time for me to execute my game plan. So I started by investing my time and my energy in getting to know these players as people away from the court. We started building personal connections and hearing their stories. And I was laying the foundation of our culture. And I identified our culture of one of connection and hard work and trust and ownership. So we had individual meetings by classes, maybe yours are by units. And I could see them start to relax and start to work together and grow together. And they allowed our staff to begin to push them and get more out of them. Now, at the same time, I'm also asking for daily input from my newly hired staff. I wanted their opinions on everything. I knew that I didn't know it all. They knew I was a rookie head coach. I knew I was a rookie head coach. It was their responsibility to bring ideas, share their beliefs, their experiences. And it was my job to consider all of it and decide what was going to work best for our team right now. In January of 2015, we were facing South Dakota State. Now, I'm at North Dakota State. We're playing South Dakota State. You can live in Pennsylvania and realize that that's probably a fierce rivalry, right? Over the past 9 years, North Dakota State was 1-8 8-19 against this rival. So we'd won exactly one game. You best believe we were not picked to win this one or chosen to win this one either. We were underdogs. But we won. We beat South Dakota State 83-78. And in reality, we were in control. We were winning 39 out of the 40 minutes that the game was played. We were poised. We had 4 players in double figures. We were in the zone. We were playing for each other. I could feel the culture. And that's the funny thing, right? Like, it's hard to define. Putting words to it is challenging because it's a feeling. It's a vibe. It's an energy. And for the first time, it was palpable. The previous 8 months were paying off. And there's pieces of that culture that are so important. And that's where we're going to spend the rest of our time. And this is where I want you to do a little self-evaluation as a leader of your company, business. It might be of just one other person. Let's evaluate your communication. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, it's not what you say, it's what they hear. Let me tell you, in college athletics, nothing could be more true. We're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. They're impressionable. They're fragile. The things that they could surmise that you said blew my mind every day. I always framed our conversations with what I wanted them to do. So, for example, I need you to make contact before pursuing the ball when you're rebounding. Or this play is designed to use that screen, rip and go, and score off 2 dribbles. That's invoking confidence. That's very different than, why did you turn this into me? This isn't what I asked for. So your communication, when it comes from a place of belief, is very energy giving. It demonstrates a desire for a specific outcome, but it's not micromanagement. So that's my question to you. Evaluate your communication right now. Is it nagging? Does it come with a harsh energy? Or is it directive and energy giving, forward moving? It's not fluff. It's not overlooking missed opportunities. Another piece that goes in with the communication is catching your staff members doing things right. We all love public praise, even the kids who say they don't want to be called out. They all love a little pat on the back in front of their peers, and your staff members are no different. So how can you catch your employees, your team members doing things in the right? This goes along with, like, in society, the number of negative reviews on any Amazon product or any restaurant is always longer than the positives. We all have something to say when we don't like it. But do we say it enough when we do? May I interject and offer the unexpected positive touches? That's you finding your team members, your staff members doing it right. Is there an internal weekly newsletter for your company? Can you make it a practice to shout out staff members on that space? For online team meetings, can you wrap up the end of the meeting with, hey, I just want to share these 3 things about these 3 people that really stuck out this week? Those are the unexpected positive touches. Similar to our I am statements, where we sit up a little bit straighter. When we are unexpectedly congratulated, or when the spotlight is shined on, we sit a little straighter. There's a little bit more energy. They feel appreciated. So think for 1 or 2 minutes here. In your organization, how can you express those unexpected positive touches to your staff? For those that have any military background here joining us today, perhaps you're familiar with laser speak, or the military calls it bluff, bottom line up front. But laser speak is a tool, is a way to communicate that our team used in team meetings, staff meetings. It's a practical way to think before speaking, and then in 1 or 2 sentences, get the most important piece conveyed clearly and without emotion. And that's the key component. When we're working on teams, sports teams, business teams, we're trying to solve problems, we're trying to launch a product, we're trying to move the needle, people get very invested, right? Like there's a lot of emotion, and I have a great idea and I want to bring it to the table. And then it becomes my baby. And then when somebody says my baby's ugly, I get really defensive. So laser speak takes that emotion away and allows you to convey the most important part in 1 or 2 sentences. And the beauty, your meetings are shorter. Everybody has an opportunity to talk. And with the short comments, those unhelpful and distracting stories and side tangents are eliminated. That's part of the culture of how your organization communicates, how you as a leader communicate, and how they communicate together. So easy to start your next meeting with, hey, want to bring a new tool to the table? It's called laser speak. Everyone's going to get an opportunity to share their perspective in 1 to 2 sentences, no emotion, and let's get right to it. And when you feel that that is not what's happening, it's very easy to, nope, bring it back, laser speak, laser speak. That's a long-winded story. Let's get that down to 1 or 2 sentences. And when everybody is modeling laser speak, emotions are low, productivity and clarity on next steps is high. Again, how does that impact your culture? People feel valued, they feel heard, and you're getting things done. Talking about feeling heard and feeling valued, I often get asked, but how do you get your teammates to buy in? The quick and dirty answer, give them autonomy and clearly define their roles. So think about the folks that you work with, the folks that you lead right now. Some you are in lockstep with. They can finish your sentences. You can hand them a sheet of paper. They can hand it back to you. And you don't even have to communicate, and it's been done. synergy. Now, you also probably work with a couple of people who just, it seems to be a little bit harder. There's a little bit more friction. You appreciate the ideas, but it's not as smooth. You can't put your finger on it. It's in those spaces that autonomy and clearly defined roles will make the most impact. So as a basketball coach, I had to make a million decisions every day, just like you do. Some of the things that people would ask me about, I just scratched my head. How big of a bus do I want when we travel? I don't know. I want everybody to fit on it. Is that a good enough answer? Well, no. Do you want the 24-seater? Do you want the 36-seater? Or do you want the 52-seater? Again, how many on our travel party? Pick a bus that we fit in, please. Yes, there is a bare minimum to make us comfortable, but at the end of the day, somebody else can make that decision for us. There were non-winning decisions and winning decisions. The winning decisions all came from decisions that would impact our preparedness and our ability to execute our game plan and win the basketball game. So what music we listened to during pregame, what we wore to the restaurant for dinner the night before, non-winning plays. Yes, we needed to have a nutritional meal. I turned that over to the captains. I turned those decisions over to somebody else. They were able to present me with the decision, but they were able to make those decisions, to gather the information, to talk to the people, to have autonomy in their role. The winning decisions, that was a group conversation that I, at the end of the day, as the boss, as the head coach, had final say in. So right now, think about it. Where are you holding on and strangling the life out of something for a reason you're not quite sure about? What are the winning decisions and the non-winning decisions in your organization, your company, your business right now? And if you're sitting there going, oh no, we got that all under control, that's bluff. Winning decisions, yes. Maybe all winning decisions in your world have a threshold of a dollar amount. I've worked with business owners who say, I have given my staff free rein to make the decision under X dollars. Inform me what you're doing after the fact. That's not a winning decision. Maybe there's a threshold there for you to negotiate with your staff. Clearly defined roles. I think in athletics, you hear role player, star player, shooter, best running back. Like, you hear all the roles. Sports Center, Fox Sports, all that, like, they highlight the roles that these athletes play. The anchor leg of the relay. Do you have those same clearly defined roles in your organization, your company, your business? Let's scrutinize that. Are they written out? Is it clear? Each August, when I was the head coach at North Dakota State, each August we had a staff meeting where we evaluated or reevaluated, depending on who was on staff, the strengths, the responsibilities, the duties of the program and of every single person on our staff. And roles were assigned. And everybody knew everybody's role. And I just had a a college coach reached out to me last week asking for some guidance here. And he said, really? So all of your staff members had each other's job descriptions as well? I said, oh, absolutely. Then they know where to go. I'm not the switchboard operator saying, oh, well, no, that's not me. That's so-and-so. And take that conversation over here. They're working together and presenting me with their ideas. That one decision to create a staff handbook and give everybody on staff everybody else's job responsibility immediately decreased the number of questions I got every day. Bought me a whole much more time. It was very clear what I wanted a say in, where I wanted updates, and where staff members could work together to solve it and present me with the decision. That's autonomy. Those clearly defined roles, that allows my staff members, your team members to feel value, to feel that they are moving the needle on the team. Your communication, your shout outs of finding your staff members doing things in the right, how you speak directly, the autonomy and the roles, those all play into the culture. And then the culture protects itself. We always talk in college athletics about coach-led or player-led. You want a player-led team. That's how stuff happens. That's where the winning takes place. That's what I want for you all too. Coach-fed, player-led. CEO, president, fed. Employee, staff member, led. And the last thing I'll leave you with, I was, again, living here in Philadelphia and obviously not living under a rock for the last 2 weeks. I was listening to WIP, the sports talk radio show following the Eagles parade last Friday. And they were talking about the culture and how after 4 games, the Eagles were 2-2. And the players went into the coach's office to have a conversation. And the coaches listened. And what happened? I think we all know. The culture was one that the players felt they could be heard, that they could voice their opinions and that would be accepted. The culture was also, of the Eagles, was also one that Coach Sirianni could go a little rogue, getting involved with a few fans, right? And the culture embraced him. The culture was one that AJ Brown could be a little diva-ish, and the culture welcomed him back and embraced him. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to not make mistakes. But it's the rapport, it's the autonomy, it's the roles, it's the communication, it's finding your staff members doing things right that allows for that growth. It allows your team to be coach-fed, player-led. That's my charge for you. When it starts with how you attack every single day with your morning musts, you assembling your MVP team that allows you to lead to a new level of winning. And I want each and every one of you in your businesses to win at a brand new level. We're still in quarter one of 2025, and I want you all to win at a brand new high level. Nella, thank you for this opportunity. I know we have a few minutes left. I'd love to open it up to questions, thoughts, conversation. I'm a pretty laid back, energetic person. So let's get the conversation going.
And thank you so much. This was fantastic. Um, I I'd actually like to hear kind of what stuck out to people, and I can go first, which is you talked about legacy and how people want to be remembered. And I actually think about that a fair amount. Um, Not planning my funeral or anything, but like after they say, well, this is this is who this person was, here's who they left behind. I want people to say about me, time with her was never wasted. That's what I want.
That's beautiful. That's strong. How do you feel when you say that? How do you feel?
Right. And to everybody else, Larry, I see you're off mute. Do you have anything to share?
Yeah, thanks, Nella. I'm going to be following up with Maren. I think that's how you pronounce your name, right? I missed the very beginning, so I didn't hear that
Yep. You've been to
conversation.
a bar, you've ridden in a car. I'll answer to a lot of things. Yes, Larry.
Um, yeah, so I'll be following up with you because my business, Outer Stuff, is a licensed sports apparel company. So we're all about sports, and our vision is building a championship team. So everything we do now is taking inspiration from sports. So when you ask me where do I get my spiritual inspiration from? Every day listening to ESPN or listening I mean, it's sports holds so much stories and examples. We'll talk separately. I'll get your contact
Yep.
information. So that's I just want to say that right off the bat that it's all about sports for us, right? It's all right there. The one comment or question for you is, my understanding is that as a leader in sports, as a team, as a coach, it seems like the best coaches have been there in the player's position, but weren't necessarily the greatest. The greatest players actually, it looks like, are some of the worst because it seems like they can't relate. Just wanted to see what your thoughts were with that.
Yes, I have seen that. I would agree with you there, and your point there at the end of inability to relate is the distinction. Many, not all, many athletes at the highest level, whether that's the highest high school level or college level or professional level, have an innate natural ability. They certainly work very hard to continue to polish it, but they start at a different place that they can't articulate. Like, I mean, when asked, they're like, I don't know, I've just always been good at fill in the blank, right? And so being able to break that down and articulate it to somebody who's like, but that's not me, being able to make that connection can be hard.
Mhm.
I think the best coaches, whether you were a great athlete in your sport or maybe didn't even play the sport that you are now a coach of, it's your ability to communicate. Like
Okay,
that's
right,
the part that is often overlooked or assumed. Well, you're a good athlete, so you're a good communicator. You
right,
were the
right, right.
captain of such and such team, so you're a good communicator. Where they're two different skill sets, obviously, but they don't in sport. They don't get separated, right?
Yeah,
They're holding hands all the time versus
right.
seeing them as two separate skills. So the
Yeah.
ability to become a better communicator, more
Communicator.
intentional communicator, more intentional listener,
Yeah,
regardless if you're leading sports teams or of any other industry, being that leader, being able to communicate and hear and then translate and
right.
speak is, in my opinion, like the secret sauce or the
Yeah.
superhero skill.
Right. And what you said earlier, which really resonated with me and our position, is that what you say versus what they're actually hearing is really key, right?
Yes, Larry. And I would say on that piece, I left probably 95% of my conversations with student athletes. The last thing I said was, now what did you hear me say? And it was eye-opening. Some were very good at reciting exactly what you said, which, your little red flag went up there. And some would say things and it was like, that I don't know how you got there, but that opened the conversation to
Sure.
tell me more. Got the student athlete thinking. And so it doesn't have to be just with student athletes. I mean, we working with other professionals, okay, well, what did you hear me say? No, I never said it had to be in by Friday. I don't know where did you get Friday? Let them say, oh, I'm going on vacation. I won't be here on Monday, so I need to get it on Friday. Oh, okay. So you interjected that. Interesting. Okay. But now I know. That's the communication. But that's the silver dollar question right there. What
Yeah,
did
you're right.
you hear me say? Ask your children. Ask your
Yeah,
spouse. Ask the person you live with. I mean, it's shocking.
it is.
It's
We,
shocking
we,
what people take in. But that's on us as communicators and as leaders
yeah,
to say, well, what did you hear?
yeah,
Now we're on the same
absolutely.
page. I can operate in your page. I just have to know what page that is. Share with me. Share with me.
Right.
Thank you, Larry.
Excellent.
Yes, and we will connect there.
Thank you.
Taylor, did I see that you had come off of mute for a moment? Do you have something to share?
That,
I saw you had come off of mute. Was there something that you'd like to
yeah,
share or a question you had?
yeah, yeah. Number one, Maren, this has been fabulous. Lots of insights, a lot of takeaways. So how can we help you out now? What can we do for you?
I'm here to serve you all. I am here I love impacting people. I love doing things like this, speaking and talking. And I don't see myself as the motivator. I see myself as more of the coach, of the impact person. So depending on who's in the room here, if there's an opportunity to continue to make impact and speak, with different organizations, or if there's value in what I said and leading your team, your group through any parts of this at a slower, more detailed pace, I'm open to that. But I appreciate the gesture there, Taylor, and I know it's coming genuinely. I just like to give impact.
Well, Taylor,
That's very helpful.
that's why I'm going to follow up with her, because I think she can really provide some value to my company. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does
I know.
anyone
I
else?
just want to acknowledge the
Sorry.
people who have said they have different things to jump off for. I know we maybe went a little over, or people just, mentally sign up for an hour of things, but I can talk, and I have a passion for impacting and teams and all of the above. So I just want to acknowledge the folks that did pop off and not offended in any way. We all got things to do. What else is on anybody's mind, Zoe?
Yeah, there was a couple well, there's a bunch of things, but I liked a quote that you had, which was demonstrate your desire for specific outcomes without micromanaging. And I think that that's really big, because if you can learn to do that, that's the secret to managing it, even if it's a team of one, or even if it's your household, it's how do you make it so that people understand what they're doing. And maybe you do have to show somebody once or twice, but then after that, giving them the tools to just know what they're doing and do it. And you're not standing over them every minute of the day saying, are you doing this? Are you doing that? It's freeing to be able to do that. And it takes a lot of effort, but once you get there, I think that's the outcome I'm hoping for with anything that I'm working on with a team.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I really liked your laser speak idea. I think that could help a lot of meetings where you want that collaboration, you want that buy-in from everybody, but you also, you only have a 30-minute meeting or an hour meeting. How do you make sure that everybody gets a chance to say something and really contribute to the discussion and to the conversation, but not have one person, talk for 35 minutes and then someone else gets 35 seconds.
Right, right. So when you lay out what laser speak is, you are setting an expectation and you're setting a boundary. So then when it doesn't happen, you're just holding your boundary. You're not attacking that person. You're not picking on that person. You're not complaining. Thank you, Zoe. We said laser speak. So we're going to come back to you. Get that down to 1 or 2 sentences. That isn't, oh gosh, she doesn't like, no. She reiterated what the expectation was. You didn't do the expectation. She's checking you on it. We're moving on. Like, it makes it very easy as the leader to interject, as opposed to it just go. Thank you, Zoe.
In terms of clarity of communications too, Maren, I love what you said about asking people, what did you hear? And, I'm going to take that to heart, and because I know sometimes my communications is not good or not perfect. So just to get clarity and save time and frustrations, asking that question will certainly resolve that.
Great takeaway. I think it's we're always a work in progress. But with all the experiences that we all bring to any dynamic, we're often having conversations like this, right? Like there's just so much in everybody's back pocket that you might be a poor communicator. You might be a great communicator. You're just not speaking the same language as somebody else. And so getting that, what did you hear, is vital.
Here we are at 9:24. We're slated for 9:30. We certainly can go to 9:30, but I wanted to know if anybody else has any specific questions for Maren or any other takeaways they'd like to share.
Or do you all need your coffee?
That might be the answer too.
I'm curious if anyone is brave enough to share their I am statements, or one of them, but maybe that's something you need to reflect on and work on more, but I was just curious if anyone had one.
So I have one, which is we're going through, in my family, we're going through a bit of a change, and I'm going to be the primary breadwinner for a while. So the one that I wrote down that I really like is I am a provider, because I have not been the primary ever in my marriage. No, not since I had kids. So that's my mindset now. It has to be.
And by saying that, again, you sit up a little bit straighter, you come a little bit more focused, and you operate and think and make decisions and work under that persona. Thank you. Do you have an I am statement, Zoe, that you would be willing to share?
Yeah, it's a work in progress, but I think as I mentioned, and as everyone here I think knows, I have a almost 9-month-old son. So mine is really simple, but it's I'm in charge of myself. Because I think as a mom or a parent, you just get pulled in so many different directions, and it feels like everything you're doing is for your kid or for your husband or for your job. And I want to take, especially this time, to be in charge of myself and figure out what I need. And not
Yes.
just let that
Oh,
fall
I'm
by the
so proud
wayside.
of you for saying that. Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. That's like, if you said it's simple and strong at the same time. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing.
All right, I'll add one kind of twist though, not I am, but I feel I'm 65 now, right? I could relate to a lot of people on this call, but I have so much more to give. And I'm sitting here in Florida in a 55 plus community, and everyone's saying, why don't you retire? I said, because I love what I'm doing, and I feel like I have at least 10 years of impact to go. So that's kind of what's inspiring me every day.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Larry. Well, this has been wonderful. I always love the discussion. We will make sure that we get that morning musts emailed out to everybody. I will put my sure I spelled it all right. I just dropped my email in the chat there. I know that we will follow up. I shouldn't speak for Zoe and Nella, but I assume there'll be some sort of follow-up, some sort of thank you, some sort of something that my contact info will be in, but it's also right there in the chat if you want to grab that. And I am appreciative of the opportunity, the time, and all the buy-in from, I mean, we had a good number of people on the call at its highest point, so that was great.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in and giving this presentation. It certainly gave me a lot of food for thought. And let us know if there's anything that we can do for you. I mean, what Taylor said, we all echo. That's why Beacon exists. So
I appreciate that. Yes, if anybody is looking for a speaker, you've now heard me. You know a little bit about where I live, where I jam, what I like to do. If this could be a benefit of service, I know I resonate with high energy people who are, have some sort of metric, right? Like the sales world, the building world. No disrespect to some of the more laid back folk. I just know that that's not my vibe. That's all.
Beacon is a national community of senior-level business leaders committed to sharing, helping, and learning. To find out more, go to beaconforlife.org.